Give us about 15 seconds.
Ready to hear that beat drop?
So where are we going? On the Paw after this?
It's up to you, dude.
What time? I got that 3. We can do that at on the Paw at 3:30. We probably need to wrap this at like no later than 3.
Okay.
Like, so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
This is Matthew Hoagland.
And Tony Standrod. And have you ever really wondered what happens in real estate? Well, you have come to the right place because we're going to get into it on this episode of Real Life in Real Estate. Did we lose the music?
Yeah. Take 2.
All right, gentlemen, I get take 2. I didn't know that you had the music all the way out, so my
Sweet.
bad.
Yeah,
All right.
no worries.
Yeah, like after he stops, like I try to get it to where when he's talking, when he's wrapping up, the beat kind of drops and then just leave it for a little bit. And as it fades, then I'll kind of come in.
Yeah, and what you could do for me, brother, if you don't mind, is just give me a little hand signal for when you want it to start fading.
Yeah.
Then I'll know every other week after this.
Perfect.
Cool, man. Thanks.
This is Matthew Hoagland.
And this is Tony Standrod. And have you ever really wondered what happens in the real estate world? Well, you're in the right place because we're going to talk about it on this episode of Real Life in Real Estate. So let's go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Matthew Hoagland here, the team lead at the Hoagland Team Remax Premier Properties with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Tony Standrod.
My man.
We got a great show because we get to talk about ourselves.
I mean, who doesn't like doing that, right? Gee whiz.
Not me. Not me. But no, I'm excited. So we're actually today, how did we land here? You know, our stories, you know, what kind of makes us tick, and you know, just talk about some of the different jobs and experiences that we've had, you know, that ultimately landed us in this real estate space.
Yeah, because we had talked about it last podcast episode we'd recorded. I was like, all right, well, what are we going to do next time? And I think we both realized we were 4 episodes in. This is episode 5. And if you look at a lot of the descriptions on our podcast, it's real stories, real people, real life, and real estate. And we have yet to share our real story.
That's right.
With people, because we can't assume that everybody listening to this knows who we are, right? So,
or even the people that we've already worked with.
Yeah, true,
you know,
right?
They don't know a lot of the stuff that we may or may not share today. So,
yeah.
Well, dude, let's go ahead and let's get into our first segments here. Let's hear some real good news.
Yes, real good news.
What do you got today?
We've got a crazy one today of biblical proportions. So I don't know if you heard about this, but happened a few days ago. There's a lobster diver by the name of Michael Packard that says that he got swallowed by a humpback whale and lived to tell the tale. Have you heard about this?
Does he have photos?
All right. Yeah. Pictures, or you didn't prove it right. That's any fishing experience or whales. Like, you got to show me a photo.
For sure.
But according to Mr. Packard, like this is nuts. Okay. So he was out doing some lobster diving, about 45 feet of water. All right. So he's down there with a bunch of school of fish looking for lobsters. And then the way that he explains it, he says he felt like a truck hit him and everything just went dark. At first, he thought he'd been eaten by a white shark. But he realized that whatever ate him didn't have any teeth. So according to his words, he says, OMG, oh my God, I'm in the mouth of a whale. When I come to that realization, I'm probably got a lot more things to say than just OMG, I'm in the mouth of a whale. But just let your imagination run wild. Yeah. So, so he says, like, when he's talking about this experience and he's in the mouth of this whale, his thoughts are like, this is it. This is how I'm going out. You know, I'm going to die this way. I'm in the mouth of a whale. He didn't know if he would be swallowed or if he'd suffocate. You know, he's thinking about his 12 and 16-year-old kids, his wife, his mother, all of this. And he was struggling while he was in there in this massive creature. And I mean, he just kind of resigned to the fact, like, I'm not getting out of this thing, man. This is a big creature. Then suddenly he saw light, felt the whale shaking its head, and then he was thrown out on the water. And as he says, he was just lying on the surface floating. He saw the tail of the whale go back down. And then he was like, OMG, I got out of that. I survived. So you hear this and you're like, there's no way this really happened. Like, how can you corroborate this story? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there was his shipmate that was also there, and a fellow by the name of Josiah Mayo. He was driving the boat that followed Mr. Packard on the dive.
That's right.
And according to Mr. Mayo, he just saw a huge splash kind of thrashing around. He saw Michael kind of pop up within the mess, and then the whale just disappeared. So it's been a few thousand years since this has actually happened that we know of, right? So, I mean, it kind of, the world is kind of due for this kind of story again. Like, it's about time. Somebody else needs to get swallowed by a whale. But yeah, I mean, according
to another arc.
Yeah. So according to Mr. Packard, got swallowed by a whale, was in there. He had his pack and everything on, so he was just struggling. And he thinks that because of doing that, it just irritated the whale. Whale shook his head, spit him out. And he survived to tell the tale.
You know, I'd almost want to know, like, was he feeling claustrophobic? Was it like being in the mouth? Was, was he sliding down the throat of this whale, or was he just like chilling like a can of dip? You know, the whale just threw a plug in.
It's so funny, man, because like you could see these like a felt board, of like the Jonah story, right? Like felt board, or even like in kids' books, and he's sitting in the belly of the whale with the fire, and he's roasting marshmallows and hot dog. Like, that's not happening. No. I could picture. Have you ever gone to the caves, like any cave, Mammoth Cave, Moringa?
Oh yeah.
And most of the time, the tour guide will have everybody sit down and then cut all the lights off completely, and like total darkness.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would imagine being swallowed by anything would feel like. Just total darkness. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah. But he lived to tell the tale.
Dude, that's a good story.
Isn't that nuts?
I think that's your best one.
I mean, it's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine. One, I don't know if I could go 45 feet in the water. I'm scared to get up to my knees and not be able to see what's in the water. So I don't know if I could go 45 feet.
Well, a good friend of mine, and I think you know him, Joel Shepard, he actually talked about, diving and laying on the bottom of this like quarry at 80 feet and being able to see the stars.
Unbelievable.
Like, I think that would be kind of cool.
Gosh, man. Yeah.
But it's dangerous. I mean,
sure.
That stuff you've got to be experienced, and you really, when you're scuba, you're diving and going that deep.
Right.
Right. So that's just, that's probably my biggest fear.
That's
I don't think I could do it.
No, I'm with
you. Dude, let me give you some stuff that's happened on this day. I've only got
Let's
two
hear
today.
It. Yep.
And they are 1837. So today is what, June 6th, June 17th? It's June 17th.
Already.
1837, Mr. Charles Goodyear. Do you know who that is?
Is this the same Goodyear tires, Mr. Charles Goodyear?
That's right. Okay.
So
he actually obtained his first rubber patent, which I didn't even know that you could patent, rubber. But yeah, he created his first rubber patent today, 180 years ago.
Gracious.
That's wild.
So I wonder, was that the first tire? A Goodyear tire?
I don't know. I need to do more research.
That's interesting.
I'm doing this stuff, but
yeah,
1837, 100.
Wow.
I got to think the automobile was what?
Oh man, that was back in the Ford days, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder what the first tire looked like. I mean, you got like wagon wheels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was all
like on the red wheel wagon,
right?
Dude, those. Yeah, I mean that's what I envision when I see like those old cars, the wheels that are on those wagons.
Right. And that was like just wooden spokes and wooden wheels, So for it to evolve to where that was with Goodyear to actually have like wood's probably not the best material. Right. Let's use it. Yeah,
for sure. My other thing, and it's actually the timing is perfect. So in 1962, Jack Nicklaus won his first major championship at Oakmont Country Club at the U.S. Open. And today is the first day of the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines.
Interesting.
So, and then Jack Nicklaus went on to win 18 majors. He is the only one to do so. And believe it or not, Mr. Tiger Woods is only 3 behind him.
No kidding.
So close.
That's like legendary to be that close.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody knows who, even if you like golf, don't like golf, have heard of golf, have never heard of golf, everybody's probably heard of Jack Nicklaus.
That's right.
You know,
and when I was a kid, I would always get him confused with like the Joker,
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Like that was but yeah, no, Jack Nicklaus. I remember watching him at my great grandmother's house, like on Sundays if we go over there, like in tournaments.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And then obviously, you know, Tiger came along and, you know, a lot of people want to just compare, you know, major titles, say, you know, that whole GOAT conversation.
Sure.
But, you know, I have to argue that Tiger's the greatest to ever do it. He doesn't have as many majors, but he has a ton more wins than Jack Nicklaus. And the people that he's inspired so many people to, and has grown the game of golf just by his, you know, his pure skill, his prowess, just everything. And he's also, dude, he's a great comeback story, dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. There's a uniqueness to Tiger Woods, I think, that is unmatched. You know, I mean, Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, is that kind of like in the golf world? Would that be like the Michael Jordan, LeBron debate?
That's right. Those two? Except for
shots fired.
Except for on this one, you've got Jordan. You know, the first. He's the GOAT. Jordan's the GOAT.
Yep.
But like,
don't at Matt on socials about that.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Please don't. I mean, let's throw out titles and all that other stuff, you know, aside. Just the heart and the sheer will to win.
Determination. Sheer determination.
You know, you saw LeBron last week in a playoff elimination game, you know, swat over a dude's head lazily, just trying to defend a shot. Come on, dude.
Yeah, come on.
Like, and I don't want to take credit away from LeBron. He's a phenomenal basketball player.
He's a baller.
Freak athlete.
Yeah.
Just size, like, but dude, the heart.
But he's no Tiger Woods.
No.
Or Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Well, and LeBron does do a lot of good for the community. Like, and I will give him, you know, credit for that. But as far as you know, the basketball world, that's one man's opinion.
Sure.
So
that's pretty cool, man.
Let's dive into our content today. So
you
know, our stories. I kind of have some different thoughts about this and where I want to start. And but dude, let's just play off one another. Let's just talk, have a conversation, and
let's do it, man. Yeah, let's just reminisce on where we've been and where we are. This is kind of like the podcast episode of
it's number 3.
It's what's the meme or snapshots that are going around now? How it started and how it's going. That thing. So it's kind of like the podcast episode version.
Well, if we did that for you, you'd see a lot more hair on top of your head.
You sure would, man. Gosh, it's
Teen Wolf
never coming back.
I love it. You know, surprisingly for me, like you were apparently a pretty big basketball player back in the day.
You know, man, my claim to fame was when I was a senior. So I grew up in Mississippi. And yeah, basketball was, I ate, breathed, watched. I mean, all of my senses were involved in basketball. Senior year, I went to Jackson, Mississippi, which was the capital of Mississippi, to compete in a 3-point contest. And I won the 3-point contest. This was, yeah. I could not hit a rim on a 3-pointer now, but back then, man, it was
nothing but net.
No, because I hit nothing but air.
We just put a basketball goal in, and dude, I love playing.
Yeah,
with
man.
Our girls out there, man. That's,
you know, it's kind of one of those things that, you know, I'll be 40 in a few months, and if there's any, I'm not a man of, like, I'm not one of those guys that has regrets. You know, like I believe that life is lived how it's lived. Like, you make choices, and choices lead you down certain roads. So I don't want to say the word regret, but maybe say it loosely. I wish I would have kept playing basketball. You know, because there was a certain point in time where it just was not a part of my life anymore.
Right.
You know,
well, for me, I kind of have that same, even though I ended up in the golf business, working, like, I wish that I would have taken my golf career past high school, like, and went into college. Not because I was going to go further than that.
Sure.
You know, outside of becoming a club professional.
Yep.
But dude, just how many events that I missed, and just opportunities to the competition. Like, I'm super competitive.
Yep.
Probably to a fault. Like it's pretty bad. Like my kids, I don't let my kids beat me ever.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Just let me
So
win
they
one
still want to
game.
play though. They
Yeah.
still want to play. So yeah, dude, I just yeah, golf. That'd be golf for me. What was your first job? Like,
Oh, first job. So yeah, as I said, I'm from Mississippi. It's kind of formative years. Moved there. It's where my family's from. I was there from age 9 until early 20s when I got married and moved here. My first job was at a place called Greenville Motorsports in Greenville, Mississippi. And I was a young kid that just got hired on there to put together four-wheelers and motorcycles and deliver jet skis. And
so when you left high school, like, was college ever like in your mind, or was
oh
it
boy,
just, like how did that kind of
no. So I left high school and I was one of those floaters, like I didn't really have a clear plan on what to do. I knew college just because it's been spoken of, like I was supposed to do it, but was not studious by nature at all. I did what I needed to do to pass. I made good grades, but it wasn't anything that I was super focused on. Like I didn't come out of high school going, all right, I'm going to be in college for 8 years and I'm going to get a PhD and then move on with life.
Yeah, you probably don't realize this, but we are very similar in that fashion.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So I mean, I had intentions and I did finish college, but like I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
I was probably a B, maybe a few C's here, kind of student.
Sure.
But yeah, dude, looking back on it now, like what you and I do, our degree or my degree, like I'm really good at Excel.
Right. You can put together a spreadsheet, man.
Like, so I just feel like my college, it wasn't specified, or it wasn't a specific, I wasn't going to be a teacher or a doctor or a scientist, or, a pharmaceutical, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Work for pharmacy school.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, I don't regret, you talking about regrets. Like I don't regret going to college, and I've met a lot of people that, believe it or not, have influenced, my career now.
Sure.
So I can't take anything away from that. But yeah, dude, I'm kind of like 50-50 on college.
Man. Yeah. And it wasn't until I met my wife now, Annette. We met each other junior year, seniors in high schools when we started dating. She is the studious one. So she put her head down, went to school, got her undergrad, and it was like, look, we got to make some moves, and the marriage starts getting talked about. And I was like, well, I got to do something, So I did get a 2-year degree in precision agriculture.
The hell is that?
Exactly. Nobody knows in Kentucky because we moved. So where I'm from, there's a big agricultural community, but I get that degree and I'm like, all right, man, I'm being responsible. Will you marry me? Yes, you will. Okay, this is great. Let's get married. Come to Louisville. Have nothing to use that degree for. So, yeah. So then,
what year did you move to Louisville?
We got married in 04. So 04. Got here around August when U of L started. So we moved here for my wife to go to U of L.
Okay.
So that's what got us here. So she started college. I started working at Rent-A-Center. Was my first job in Louisville.
You told me that. I remember that now.
Did not last long there. Moved on from that to, I probably had like 3 or 4 jobs before I finally landed something. So moved on from that to, I worked at a pest control company. The only job I've ever been fired from was pest control. That's a rabbit trail for another time. But did installed cable TV for homes with a contracting company. That didn't last long. Then I eventually landed at a boys' home for at-risk youth. And that was the first longest job I had since I've been.
So what's the longest time that you've been at a job?
After I left the boys' home, after about 1.5 years, it's been in Louisville. I left there and got into the construction industry with marking underground utilities. So call 811, call before you dig, BUD before you dig. I was called Bud all the time.
What's up, bud?
Bud, what's up, bud? Hey, you're Bud. Hey, bud. So I did that for quite some time. That's what I did up until real estate. So I ran through the gamut on that positionally, from starting at the bottom to working up to management and everything in between. And yeah, did that for 13, 14 years.
Yeah, I remember you did that. I mean, before you got into real estate, that's the only thing that since I've known you.
Yeah.
We've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah. And that's what I was doing when we met.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you think is, like, just think about going through those jobs, getting into real estate. What do you think has been, like, what's helped you, get through all of those? Like, let me say this. You're a hard worker, dude.
Try to be,
like, nobody can ever take that away from you. Like, you're helpful, all that kind of good stuff. But what do you think? Like, I've got some stuff to share, on my side as well.
Yeah.
But dude,
like, just kind of what got through all those jobs, I guess.
Yeah. Like, what's the biggest? All right, let me rephrase that. What's the biggest thing that you've taken away from having all of your jobs? Like if you just had something, you could be like, man, this is what I've learned. One or two little things that you've taken away from all those experiences.
Gosh, man, that's a really good question. Do the job well, work hard, be honest in your work and in your dealings with people. Everything will be fine. Just do those things. Just be a good employee. Be a good worker.
Be a good person.
Just be, yeah. I mean, that's, obviously, like there were days where I did not feel like doing the work, and there still are, right? I mean, there's days where you just want to, like, work is a good thing. Like, that is a part of life, regardless of whether you got a job that you're getting paid for or your mom doing the hardest work on the planet at home. Like, work is a part of life, right? There's some days you just want to take a break. But when you go to work, when you have work to do it well, do it hard. Obviously, my motivation is a wife and 3 kids. Like, I've got to do a good job for my family. If I don't do a good job, they're going to suffer. And that cannot be had. Like, that cannot happen, right?
Oh.
So, I mean, that's a big drive. Yeah, and I just have a mentality, man, of just like, and I always have, I don't know where it comes from, maybe from my mother, not sure, but like, I just want to outwork the people that I'm around, and it's not like it's kind of weird, man, because it's not in a competitive sense. Like, I want to do better than you and be the top dog and be on top, but I also don't want to be the guy that is looked at as leaving others behind or leaving jobs undone. You know what I mean? Like, when you see Tony, I want you to see a worker.
Well, I can tell you that people see that. So,
yep.
I
hope so. I hope
that's
so.
Awesome.
Yep. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, outside of just, creating opportunities because of that, like, it's just, there's an internal sense of accomplishment and peace with that. Like, just knowing when I finish the day, I've done what I could do. I worked hard, because there are days where I haven't, and that weighs on me the rest of the day. Like, I probably could have done a little more.
Oh yeah.
Which I think all of us struggle with, like, with work in general.
Well, I think it's funny because maybe not in a 9 to 5. Not a lot of people think like that. They leave the 9 to 5 and they're going. Most people aren't thinking about that job until they got to get back the next day. So
yeah, and it varies.
He said about you as well.
Yeah, and it varies. And look, and I'm not saying that it's easy, because it varies. Because there are as many jobs out there as there are people, right? And some jobs, like, and I get it, man. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, that are out there that are in jobs that they do not want to be in, right? They do it because they have to do it to pay the bills. So I totally get that, but at the same time, it's, like, how can you still exist in that space and still do a good job, work hard? So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of nuance and dynamic there, and that's a big onion that we could peel back just in work in general. But yeah, man, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to feel good about what I'm doing, whether I like the job or not. I just want to feel like I've done it well.
Yeah. Well, dude, you should definitely rest in that. I'll tell you that. So, kind of tying this into real estate and that kind of thing. What do you think's helped you from an experience standpoint, like, be successful at what you're doing now?
Gosh, man, I don't know. Yeah, real estate is not for the faint of heart. I will say that.
That's why we have bourbon.
That's yeah. And for me, it was, I mean, everybody's got different stories getting into real estate also. So I've never, and even in my family tree that I know of, nobody in my family has ever done any kind of running their own business, self-employment, that kind of stuff. So this venture was completely new on that end and scary, right? Which is the plight of most people that are kind of, if you're in a job that you're thinking of transitioning out of, that's a salary job, 9 to 5. There's fear in stepping out of that into the unknown of not having the salary job. And then it's all on your shoulders, right? So I don't know, man. Like for me personally, timing and circumstances kind of lined up. I mean, I was in a place where the job that I was doing was the most money I'd ever made, the highest position I've ever had. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't, for me personally, I just felt like it was not a good fit. I was not wired for it. It sucked the soul out of me. I survived every day to get home. By the time I got home, I had nothing. So there's a guy named Matt Hoagland that I know that's in real estate that was looking for, I was looking for real estate agents, and obviously reached out to you, and you and I had numerous very candid conversations about what this would look like because of that fear of, like, I didn't doubt being able to work, right? But again, that motivational factor, how is this going to care for my family and my kids? And is it possible to even do that?
Right.
And if you remember, one of the questions I asked you before stepping in was, look, dude, if I can translate the work that I do now, the time that I put into the work that I do now, and I do that in real estate, will I be okay? And your response was, of course you will.
Well, not everybody can do that.
Sure.
Dude, I think I've told you this before, but I've had at least, outside of the people that are on our team, or that are working with me, I've probably had 10 to 12 other people that I've had very good conversations with. And it's really up to you to make that step, to make that leap. And you've already alluded to it. It's hard.
Sure.
You're betting on yourself every day. You have to show up. You have to treat people well. There's people that I think that maybe not treat people as well as they could or they should, that are very successful in this business.
Sure.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But you have that. And, just that commitment, your commitment to your family, your commitment to our team, your commitment to yourself, that stuff matters.
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, my wife, man, she is the best. I mean, absolute best. And I can remember having conversations leading up to that. And I mean, the biggest question I had was, why so fearful? You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's a real thing, man. It is absolutely dreadful to even think about stepping out of something you've been doing for 14 or 15 years to something brand new, especially at the age that I am. Like, I'm not a young pup anymore. Some people will say I am, but I'm not.
Well, think about what we talk about too, or what we have talked about. What does fear do?
Fear immobilizes you.
It does.
There's a quote.
Stops you right in your tracks.
I mean, dead in your tracks. And I remember listening to, like, when I was going through all of this, just listening to different interviews, Jamie Foxx, the actor, was just telling a story about him and his mother. And he said his mother, like, when he had days where he was anxious or he was scared, bedtime, he'd sit down and his mother would look at him. She would ask him, Jamie, what's on the other side of fear? And the answer is nothing. Like, how much of it do we just create in our own minds? And it's, hyperbole, and it's just stuff that hadn't even happened yet, right? But it's a very real thing. Like, the fear is a very real thing to get past that. But my wife, she just kept looking at me and going back and forth and like, well, how am I going to take care of the family and how we're going to make the money? And just do something, was what she just kept saying. Like, stop talking about it. Just do something.
Yeah.
And here we are.
That's right.
And here we are. And it hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been rainbows and funnel cakes the whole time. But yeah, I mean, just taking that leap of faith, quote unquote, as cliche as that sounds. Fortunately, it's thus far it's paid off, in a much better headspace and just holistically in a better space.
Well, let's throw in the fact that you're in the toughest real estate market that the country has seen.
Sure.
And you're successful. And, you know, your wife, I mean, let's touch on that for a minute. Your wife being supportive gives you all of the confidence in the world, because think about this. Think about if you would have just made the decision to jump.
Yep.
And you had somebody that was like, didn't believe in you.
Sure. And we all need that, right?
Yeah.
Like we all need that. We all need a job well done, good job. Yeah, the importance of community and people. Like it's rare that if you have to go out on a limb to change something or do something, it's rare that it happens without seeking wisdom and somebody saying, "You'll be fine, man. Just do it. You know, I got your back. You'll be okay. You can do this." And I had that in spades with my wife.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. I've been seeing her garden and stuff, dude. I love it, because that's my wife's doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, man.
We've got like 6 damn vegetables in one 8x8 box. And like the pumpkins are eating up the corn that's barely sprouting, and the cucumbers are starting to take their roots, and it's fun though.
It's gonna look like Cinderella back there before it's over with. Have these pumpkins.
Well, the pumpkins I think are probably, I don't know, when do they probably don't start coming till like September.
Dude, you were asking the wrong guy, man. I when they get picked and they're in the house, I eat them. I have no idea of timelines. No, I don't eat pumpkin. I do.
That's what I was talking about though.
Well, pumpkin seeds I have.
Okay.
Cook those bad boys up, make them crispy. Yeah,
I haven't done that.
That's good. So enough about me, man. Let's hear a little bit of your story, dude. So you haven't always done real estate.
I have not.
Yeah.
I have not. So yeah, I lived in South Georgia in the late 90s. My folks, I grew up in the Fern Creek, Highview area. And my dad got a job. He was a civil service guy, worked for a place called Naval Ordnance here in Louisville, which is now Raytheon. And that's part of the reason he was like looking for jobs, because they were getting ready to be contracted out and it was going to be changing hands, you know, whatever. We ended up in Kingsland, Georgia, which is 30 minutes south of Brunswick in Sea Island and all that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Literally right. Like our house was 5 minutes from the border of Georgia, Florida.
Wow.
So we moved there in 96. I was with some friends of mine at a place called Jekyll Island one summer. My mom, I think, took us up there, and we were 15, 16. And we ran into some people from our high school, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're looking for, you know, lifeguards. You can start when you're 15." So that was my first job, dude. I was working lazy rivers, and then once I was eventually CPR certified and trained, you know, working the, you know, the wave pool and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, it was actually a really cool experience. We did that for 2 summers.
That's pretty awesome, man. I've never thought how much of an oxymoron working at a lazy river is.
Well, you know what I did?
Yeah.
Mostly I was looking for loose change and money going through, you know, kind of going, because people lose money out of their
out of their pockets because they're just
absolutely
being lazy. Yeah.
And that's how I'd go to the McDonald's that was in the park and go buy my
perfect.
Lunch.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, keep that change.
You know, I actually was fired from a job also, but I was like a week and a half from leaving anyway. But I did get.
It wasn't the lazy river, was it?
It was not.
Okay,
it was a KFC in South Georgia. So my folks decided, you know, 4 years later, build a house. We're going to move back up to, you know, Kentucky. Dad got a job at Fort Knox. He was working at the Gold Vault, and I decided to go out with my friends to Jacksonville one night, called into work at KFC, and they basically just told me, don't bother coming back.
No kidding.
But I mean, I was, like I said, I was like 2 weeks, a week and a half from moving back up here anyway.
How long did you work at KFC?
Oh man, 8 months.
The more important question is, did you get to eat free KFC?
I did. And that's actually where I learned to love coleslaw, because you go back into this.
Yeah, buddy.
You go back into this big container that's got nothing but it's just like
this big vat of coleslaw.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I could swim in that. Jeez.
But I'm not like a vegetable guy, dude. So I was surprised that like that was my true love, you know, of coleslaw.
It's pretty cool. I
Working
didn't
at
know,
KFC.
I didn't know that story, man.
My father-in-law was also fired from KFC when he was a kid. So that's kind of a cool
Carry on a
little-
family tradition.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, dude. So moved back up here my senior year of high school. Dude, I worked at the Kmart on Beulah Church Road my senior year of high school.
Okay.
I did that. A lot of my jobs, dude, until we'll kind of talk about golf for a minute, but a lot of my jobs were always customer service related or, you know, oriented.
Sure.
And I just, you know, I think that's what helps like some of my success in real estate is just that desire for customer service.
Sure.
For making other people happy. Like I leave every interaction overanalyzing the whole thing. Like how did I, you know, was this out of line? Should I have not said this? Or should, you know, how did they feel about, you know, the way that I presented myself and who I, you know.
And I'm sure like with anything, there's some health and some unhealth with that, right? As far as overanalyzing when you leave. Because you're right, man. I mean, it's, yeah, especially if your magnus opus is caring for people well, you know, like that's going to be a part of that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
So like, so I came back here and we, I went to U of L for 1 year. Actually, I went to JCC for a semester, then to U of L. Yeah, 9/11, dude. That's where I always remember 9/11. I was at JCC Southwest, you know, walking into the school. That was right about the time cell phones were just really starting to become popular. So, you know, I didn't, you know, you didn't have videos and YouTube and news. And
that was like the Motorola Razor days.
Close.
Close.
It was almost
not quite.
That was like probably a year or two before those came out.
Okay.
But yeah, I went to JCC, and then U of L, and actually ended up leaving because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. Like, dude, you're 18 years old. Like, that's the hardest decision to make, I feel like, unless you just know I'm going to go clean people's teeth. I'm going to be a doctor.
Right.
I'm going to be, you know, a librarian. I don't, you know, just
yeah.
But yeah, that's such a hard decision, I feel like, for 18-year-olds to make.
And you know, man, that begs the question. So the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, gets asked a lot to younger children.
Well, for me and you, it's taller.
I wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a ball. Yeah, but why don't we get asked that later on in life?
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
6 foot.
6 foot tall.
Maybe 6 foot.
So U of L for a year?
I went to U of L or actually just the second semester.
Okay.
So yeah, I did that. I ended up working, dude. You're gonna laugh when I tell you this.
Bring it. I want to hear it.
I worked for a company called Deli Delights when I left U of L.
Deli
for a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. Deli Delights.
Deli Delights making sandwiches?
Vending machines. I would drive to Lexington at least 3 times a week, like delivering like at Lowe's and Home Depots and hospitals.
Really?
Different. Yeah.
Were you equipped with one of the keys that opens the front door?
All of
it. Man.
Get the money out of there.
I would have money out of there. So many candy bars.
Dude, 19 years old. Think about this. 19 years old, I probably was making like $45,000 a year. That was in.
Whoa.
I mean, dude, that's
big money at 19, man.
That's hard, but that's hard to leave, you know? So, you know, I'm not going to go into this too deep, but you know, what happened with all of that is I found myself, I had a good job living out on my own for about a year, and dude, just found myself getting involved with people, and I don't want to say people because all of those people were good people, but just doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, you know?
Yep.
I spent a little time in the Air Force. I don't know if you knew that or not.
What?
Yeah. Dude.
How do I not know that?
Yeah. I spent about a year and a half in the Air Force.
Can you fly anything?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
Because our relationship was about to go to another level if you answered that.
Dude, my good buddy Joel can fly something because he was also in the Air Force, but he was like, so I'm like the Air Force reject, and he's like Air Force All-American, you know.
He's Top Gun.
Yeah. Top Gun, flying, you know, fighter jets and all that kind of stuff.
That's amazing.
But yeah, dude, I did that for a year and a half and ended up getting out in the beginning of 2005.
Okay.
So I did that. I came back to Louisville, started working at UPS. Also found my first golf course job at the Crossings, which I actually worked there as a kid. I left that one out, dude. I did carts as a kid when I first moved back from Georgia, as well as the Kmart. So,
okay.
But yeah, I worked in the shop there in 05.
Yeah.
And did a lot of that and went back to U of L. So this was in 05. I graduated 01. Ended up finishing my degree. I ended up getting a degree in marketing. I think my major went from 01, it was accounting, to when I went back in 05, it was finance, and then eventually ended up in marketing.
Interesting.
But yeah, dude.
Why marketing?
I don't know, dude. I knew I didn't like finance. I wanted a business degree.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was my I don't know, dude. I just wanted to know how, what could I do to help influence people, and just, being creative on that side of things. And,
sure.
I still, to be honest with you, I really cannot tell you much that I learned from that, but,
well, same with mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of experience.
Sure.
But no, like the biggest thing that I take away from that degree is my computer information classes. Like going through the PowerPoints and learning different things with it's helped me immensely.
Sure.
Like where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I have to give some credit there. But so anyway, yeah. So I, like, most people don't know this, but I went into the PGA management program in 06 because I was working at the Crossings. I started that.
Okay.
I was doing that. I was doing full-time U of L and working full-time. Or part-time at UPS and part-time at the golf course. I eventually left UPS once I decided to do the PGA stuff full-time. So I was going to get my degree, get my Class A, which is kind of like an associate's degree, essentially. And ended up working at Oxmoor Country Club in 07. So 07, 09, I did that. Made a lot of connections there. I saw, dude, I've got a lot of people there that I still connect with. My wife and I just recently joined the pool there. So I'm like reconnecting with a lot of those guys. It's kind of cool. Like, yeah, that's been 12 years ago.
Full circle.
That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's really cool. It's really cool. So yeah, so 07, 09, I worked there. I was fortunate enough to work with my still really good friend, Josh Snyder. He was the head pro there.
Yep.
And I want to say, I like to say this, like, Josh took me from a young redneck. I mean, that's the best way I could say that.
Yeah.
And basically, he didn't take me all the way to the other end, but like he made me, help mold me to be a professional. If that makes sense.
It does.
Like my first day at work, dude, I rolled up with a collared shirt on and a Bass Pro Shops hat on to the country club.
Did you have a fish hook on the bill?
No, but it was like the Bass Pro Shops logo, like,
yeah, man.
And he just, like, he still gives me, like, I cussed in my interview with Josh.
And you got hired.
I did. But well, and it's because, dude, I was myself.
Sure.
I don't want to take any of that away. Like, that's the other thing, dude. Like, going back to you, all of the stuff that you've done, like, I don't think you've ever just not been yourself. You've been authentic. And that's what this is about, what we're doing here.
Sure.
And, our interactions with our clients and our customers, it's just being authentic, dude. Being
Absolutely,
who we
man.
are.
Yeah.
Like, we're not afraid of that.
Sure.
And that kind of thing. But yeah, so I left Oxmoor and went to Louisville Country Club, which, dude, I had the privilege of working under Scott Sedgwick, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the greatest golf professionals in this region. Just how he runs an operation. It's very regimented. It's very consistent. We talk about consistency a lot.
Sure.
And just the customer service there is just at a totally different level, dude. It's a totally different level. So, yeah, dude, I worked with him for 3 years. Met my wife. Let me skip back. I met my wife when I was at Oxmoor, and I ended up getting that job at LCC, 6 months after Katie and I started dating.
Okay.
So yeah, I worked with him for 3 years, and then guess what? We've got little babies coming out, and
Babies, man.
I was interviewing for head pro jobs, at different places. I had an interview in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had an interview at Barron River. Had an interview at Indianapolis, Lake Cumberland. I've interviewed at a lot of these different places, and I remember leaving Knoxville, making the drive back.
Yep.
And just like, this isn't really what I want to do. Like, I don't want to run an operation. Like, I don't want to move my family.
Yep.
Like, especially for my mom and dad, like, our kids are going to be the only grandkids they have. I don't want it. I lost a sister in 2005. I didn't talk about that, but
sure.
Like that matters, to me, like family and being close.
Yeah.
Obviously right now they help a ton with sitting, like when we have to, when we want to go do things, and they're such a big part of our family right now. Like that would have been hard
to
looking
not
back
have
on
that.
it. Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting out and working. I found going back to my Deli Delight days.
Yeah.
I found another job that was basically like a truck service delivery type place at Aramark. I always joked when I was at UPS, if I didn't get in the golf business, that I was going to try to work my way up to be one of those drivers, like to pack, and they make really good money.
Sure.
They work a lot of hours, but I enjoy that. Just that driving, that kind of thing. Not being stuck at a desk.
Right.
So I did that for a year. Ended up going to the guy that helped Katie and I buy our first house, talking to him about doing a refinance because I was going to keep our condo for a rental. So look, in 2012, I was already thinking about that.
Yeah.
So, and he kind of approached and said, hey, why don't you, I'm splitting, my partner's getting ready to leave. I'm looking for somebody to help out around here. So I took a job at the mortgage company.
Yeah.
And did that for about a year. And, I had thought about real estate even when I was 19.
Really?
So I got into real estate at 30, but I had always kind of had a suspicion.
It's like a curiosity.
A curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what could this be like? Can I do real estate? And I never really had an in. Like, this is not a knock to my dad or his dad, my grandpa, but like anytime I would bring that up to them, it was always like a discouraging, like, oh, you don't want to do that. You're not guaranteed pay, or, just, it wasn't like, they were never like encouraged me with that if I brought it up to them.
Yeah.
And they probably don't even remember me bringing it up, but I know, I'm telling you, because I can hear it in my head, like the voices.
Right.
So, but that lending job, dude, that gave me the confidence that I needed to say, you know what, I'm going to stick my neck out and I'm going to go make this happen. I've got the service experience. I've got the industry. I've gained some experience that on a side that I never even knew anything about.
Yeah.
And dude, that's where I'm at now. So
how many years in are you?
This is year 8. And just to piggyback off of that a little bit, I mean, dude, I've told you this. When I got into the business, I was just thinking, hey, let's just do X. If I can do this for the rest of my life and do something I like and work for myself, like I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
But look, where are we at now?
Where are we now, man?
We're at Remax Premier Properties.
Yep.
We've got 5 other individuals that work with us. Our team is doing really well. We're helping a lot of people. And dude, I never thought that I would be having a podcast, having a team, all of this stuff, dude. And it's been super rewarding just to see the growth, to look back at, 2005,
right.
Which I'll just kind of categorize as like the worst year of my life.
Yeah.
so to speak.
Sure.
And then just to look back at 2005 and just see the progression.
Just the trajectory. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's, we're both mid-30s, late 30s, almost 40, whatever. And
dude, we're way close to 40.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 38 in 2 weeks, dude.
Yeah, man, it's coming. Few takeaways for me. and this conversation, just thinking through this. I mean, we've been focusing a lot about our story and leading up to where we are now with real estate and where we are. And I don't know if this only happens in your 30s, but I feel like there comes a point in life where you start thinking or start realizing, like, I am wired for certain things. There are things that I'm really good at and things that I'm really not good at, and that's kind of where I was before I made that decision. It's the industry that I was in, the position I was in. It's great for some people, but it was not great for me. And so I think that the best question to ask at the end of the day with any of us, anybody listening, what we're talking about now is, all right, well, how can I step more into my wirings to contribute the most I can to this world and the people around me? Because that's what work is, man. At the end of the day, regardless if it's a job that you hate or not, like, work is there to keep this world moving, right? Even if you're in a job that you don't like, there's like the question you could still ask yourself is, what can I do to contribute to the betterment of the world around me?
I think it's just, it's adding value.
Adding value.
Like, dude, you and myself,
Mhm.
like both of us, we add value to our industry. You know why? Because we care.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
there's people that are out there that are doing our job that don't care.
Yeah.
I promise you that. And they do it well. And like, dude, that's so frustrating to me.
Well, and it's got to be bigger than what you are, right? Because at the end of the day, like, I mean, this is crash, sounds crash. End of the day, you're either going to be gone or you're going to be replaced. You know what I'm saying? So with the time that you've got doing what you're doing, how can you best steward and cultivate, one, a sense of gratitude, which is hard for all of us to do, but two, a sense of presence for others that leaves a mark, right? And so that's thing one. And then thing two, just learning, kind of being in the position that I'm in with you on this team, it is very important to surround yourself with like-minded people, right? I mean, they say you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time around. You know what I mean? So if I want to continue to get better at what I'm doing, I better make sure I'm surrounding myself with people that I aspire to be like.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've been very fortunate with that, with being on this team and being at this brokerage. So
yeah.
That's my 2 cents, man. My little soapbox.
No, I'm with you. Well, and as we were sitting here talking about this, I'll kind of, before we wrap this up, looking back on, like, just hearing your story, hearing my story, like, we both have, the work ethic, and you said caring for other people and
yeah,
just trying to do a good job and showing up every day.
Show up, man. Show up. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this is just, I feel like we could talk about this forever. We might have to do like 10 more podcast episodes and just talk about this, but
well, maybe the next time we can do like our relationships instead of like our jobs to get us to here.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Like, how did you get to Annette?
Yeah. And how's that working for you? Tell us all the details. But no, I mean, seriously, I mean, look, if you got any questions about this, I think what we kind of want to get across at the end of the day on this, I mean, obviously just telling our story so you can get to know us a little better, but also, you can do it. You can do it. Whatever the work is that you love, you can do it. Even being at a place maybe that you're not satisfied with, you can do it. Just be a good presence. What can you do to contribute to the world around you to make it better? People need you. And you can do it.
And just start.
Dude,
ask questions. Reach out to people.
And look, we're an open book too. I mean, this is just kind of, I feel like a lot of what we talked about is just in a lot of ways, just cliff notes of our story. But reach out if you got questions for Matt or myself. I mean, we're an open book and we will absolutely love to have a conversation about all the things we've talked about and what that means for you. If you're having questions or doubts or, any of those things when it relates to work. Yeah, just reach out. We'd love to talk.
Absolutely. Hey, dude, this has been a fun one.
Yeah, man, it's been good. It's been to reminisce.
Really
yeah. It's always good to talk about our stories.
A lot of flashbacks, buddy.
I know,
enjoy it.
Nostalgia, baby.
Yes, sir.
Nostalgia it's a medicine.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Tony, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah. Appreciate you guys joining us for episode 5. Do us a huge favor. We're trying to get some traction built on this thing, so find us online on the socials and on the podcast networks, iTunes, Amazon, what have you. click that review button and leave us a good review, or leave us a review, period. Get the algorithms going. We want to get this out to as many people as possible. Find us, like us, follow us, communicate with us. Let's stay engaged. We'll be back next time with another episode of Real Life in Real Estate.
That was long.
It was long.
It's like a
You said 3 o'clock. We went 7 over.
I think it's